Well, hello, hello. Welcome to STEAM Lab Saturday. My name is Alicia and I am a librarian here at Mitchell Park Library in Palo Alto. And we're going to do a super fun experiment today. We're going to make ocean zones in a jar. All right. So just to announce one announcement before we start, actually two. The first one is we switched to noon on the first Saturday of the month. We used to be at 11 a.m. Now we are broadcasting at noon on the first Saturday of the month. Hi, Stuti. So nice to have you join us. And grown-ups, if you have your little ones participating in the STEAM Lab today, if you want to put their names in the comments, I'll give a little shout out to them. All right. Second announcement is that our summer reading program just started this week. So much fun. What's called our theme this year is Reconnect with Your Community. And you can sign up on Beanstack, track your reading progress for the whole summer, and you can earn badges. Every 2 weeks you get a new badge. Very fun. If you want to see a fun video about our summer reading program, we'll put a link in the comments to that. We'll also put a link to the summer reading homepage too before STEAM Lab is over. All right. All right. Let's talk about our experiment. Okay. Now we're going to do ocean zone. We're creating ocean zones and we're going to talk about liquid density today. Before we start, let's go over all of our materials that we need to make the experiment. All right. So we have over here, we've got an empty jar. That's what we're going to make put all of our liquids in. We've got some paper or plastic cups for mixing all of our liquids, something to stir with, a spoon. We've got a measuring cup. I'm using more than one, but one works. You can rinse it out and then use it for the next material. Corn syrup. We've got blue dishwashing liquid, vegetable oil, rubbing alcohol, and water. Oof, I got a big pitcher of water right here. This STEAM Lab, you definitely need adult supervision for this one because there's some chemicals that can be dangerous. So make sure you have adult supervision when you're doing this one. It's fun, but we just have to make sure we're safe, right? Yeah. Did I just talk about food coloring? Yeah, we've got blue and green food coloring. Okay, let's see. So each form of liquid will be measured as half a cup. So everything's half a cup. If you have big jar, if your jar is bigger than mine, this is like 32 or 30 ounces, you can add more. You can add like a cup or 3/4 of a cup for each liquid, but I'm going to do half a cup. Actually, for the midnight zone, when I get to the midnight zone, I'm going to do 3/4 of a cup because the midnight zone in the ocean is a huge part of the ocean. So anyway, when we get there, I'll remind everyone. Okay. Okay, let's get started, shall we? Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. So the 5 zones of the ocean, we're going to start with the first zone. And it's the one at the very, very bottom. It's called the trench zone. Now the trench zone starts at 20,000 feet below sea level and it goes further down than that. Trenches are narrow, dark spaces that go down, and I think the deepest recorded is 37,000 feet. The Mariana Trench off the coast of Guam, and then there's a section called Challenger Deep that is the deepest recorded depth in the ocean. So cool. All right. So first zone is the trench zone, deep, deep zone. For this part, we're going to use corn syrup. So liquid, we'll talk about this again at the end, but liquids all have their own weight. It's their density. So if you measure water and corn syrup, equals amounts of water and corn syrup will be heavier because it's denser. Isn't that cool that one liquid can be heavier than another? So corn syrup is the heaviest liquid that we're using today during our STEAM lab. All right, I'm going to turn my thing a little bit more. All right, let's open this up. So we use our corn syrup for the trench zone. Oh, this is brand new corn syrup. Take the thing off. You need paper towel. You might need some paper towels for this experiment. It gets messy, but that's okay. Science is messy and that's fun. That's what's fun about it. Okay, got our cut. So half a cup of corn syrup into the, I'm gonna move my material so everyone can see better. Do, 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 do. All right. Okay, so we've got our corn syrup. I already measured half a cup in this plastic container, so I know it goes about a little over half. Or it looks like this. But you can use your measuring cup. So that's half a cup. On the measuring cup, half a cup's like right there. So we got our our corn syrup. Did you notice that when I poured it out, it pours so slowly because the liquid is heavy? Look at that. When I pour it, whoa, it's like slow motion. And then when it hits the cup, it's like syrup. It's like maple syrup in your pancakes. Do you have syrup on your pancakes? Like that when you pour it, like that slow and heavy. Okay, my hands are sticky now. Okay, so now we take we're gonna take the green and the blue. The trench zone is deep and dark. And so we're going to take blue and green and we're gonna put enough drops in there to make the corn syrup look black. Okay, so I'm gonna start with 3 drops of each. And then if it's not black enough, we can always add more. Okay. I'm gonna turn this more so I can see you while I'm mixing. Okay. Oh yeah, it's gonna need more. It's not nearly black enough. It's dark, but we want to make it look black. So let's keep adding. Ooh, it is dark. So I'm gonna add another 2 drops. Okay, let's see what happens. Ooh, that looks dark, doesn't it? A little bit green. But can you see through it? No. That's what the trench zone is like. Very dark. There's no sunlight that gets down there. Complete darkness. I'm gonna do another 1 of blue. Whoa, that looks really cool. And when I stir it even, it's hard to stir because the corn syrup is so thick, heavy. Okay. And then when we pour our liquids into our mason jar, every layer, we're going to pour it super slowly and very carefully because we want it to look like layers and not mix too much. Just like when we did the steam lab for our lava lamps, we added the oil and we added the baking soda very carefully. Every layer, the oil, the vegetable oil, the baking soda, and the vinegar very carefully. So we're going to do that with this one too. Okay, we're ready to add it to our mason jar. Ready? Here we go. Oh boy. Wow. It's really beautiful, isn't it? Look how dark that is. The trench zone. Okay. Put that away. So in our materials, I said you can use a spoon. You might want to get more than 1 spoon because that spoon's or you can wash it off, but I have multiple stir things that you can use. All right, we've got our trench zone all done. Awesome. Okay, next is the abyss zone. The abyss zone is the next layer. It's from 20,000 feet, 13,000 to 20,000. So it's right above the trench zone. So the trench zone is in the deep trenches, darkest trenches. The abyss zone is right above that. So from 13,000 to 20,000 feet. Okay, so we're going to do the trench zone. The trench zone is, the abyss zone is, we're going to use blue dish soap for this one. See how it's already blue? We're going to add maybe 1 or 2 drops of blue to the blue dish soap to make it dark blue. We don't want it to be black because the trench zone is already black. So the abyss zone is dark blue. Okay, we take another cup. We'll add our, so 13,000 to 20,000 feet. Ooh. So that's a half a cup. Sorry, I should have measured that out with a measuring cup. We'll do that for the next one. Measuring things out is fun. Okay, so this is our abyss zone. I'm going to add 1 drop, and then I'll stir it and then see if it's deep blue enough. We can always add another one. Ooh. Smells good. Let me turn my camera so you can see. Okay. I think I might add another one. There, that looks good. Looking good, abyss zone. Okay. So this dishwashing liquid is not as dense as the corn syrup. So when we pour it on top, it'll go down and it'll sit on top of the corn syrup. The corn syrup is heavier and the dish soap is lighter, so it just kind of hangs out on top. Okay, let's pour it in. Ready? I like to tilt. It's hard for you to see with my arm in the way. I like to tilt it a little so it goes in. Not right down the middle, but on the side of the jar. Okay. Let's see. A little bit hard to see. If you see it up against the sunlight, it's easier, but there's a dark layer, super dark, and then there's a dark blue. So we've got our trench zone and abyss zone, and the next zone is the midnight zone. It's called the midnight zone. This is 650 feet, and it goes all the way to 3,200 feet. Okay. That's the Twilight Zone, sorry. Midnight Zone is 32 to 1,300. It sits right above the abyss. So 3,200 feet to 1,300 feet. So next is water. We're going to be using water as our next layer. So water is going to sit right over the dishwashing liquid. And because water is lighter than the dish, less dense, it'll just kind of sit on top of the dishwashing liquid. When we pour it in, we have to be really careful because we don't want all the bubbles. So, okay, so I've got some water here. And we'll measure it out, half a cup. Use my other hand, okay. Oh, maybe it would help to like open up my pitcher of water. There we go. Okay, half a cup of water, and then we're going to add a little bit of blue food coloring to that to make it look like the midnight zone, but not too dark. So we'll do a tiny, I'm going to do a tiny drop. Oh, okay, that's good. Stir that up. Ooh, that looks good. You want it to be lighter than the the abyss. This is the midnight zone. Okay. Okay. Ready to pour. This is the tricky part. Slowly. Pour in the midnight zone. Let's see. Oh, there. Can you see the 3 zones? Oh, let me turn it so it's not a little bit easier to see now. Oh, there you go. The trench looks black. The abyss looks super dark blue, and the midnight looks kind of like a royal blue. All right. Okay, so now the next zone we're going to do is the Twilight Zone. The Twilight Zone is the one that's 650 to 3200, and it sits above the Midnight Zone. So the Twilight Zone is next. And for the Twilight Zone, we're just going to use vegetable oil. Vegetable oil is the best way to demonstrate the Twilight Zone. So we know that the ocean isn't yellow, but it's just the best way to show the Twilight Zone. And it's very hard to color vegetable oil. So we're just going to use this as an example of the Twilight Zone. And vegetable oil is lighter than water. Oops. So we'll pour our half a cup of vegetable oil. Yeah, we know the ocean isn't yellow, but this is just a great example to show the Twilight Zone and its relation to the Midnight Zone and the next zone above it, which is called the Sunlight Zone. Okay. Pour that in slowly. Kind of makes oil bubbles, but they're all going to absorb each other, and it'll be one whole level of vegetable oil once all the oil settles. Look at that. Is that cool? That's the Sunlight Zone. Can you see 4 different zones there? 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got the Sunlit Zone. I'm sorry, the Twilight Zone. Miss Alicia, come on, you're getting your zones mixed up. Okay, we've got the trench, abyss, midnight, Twilight Zone. We have one more left. That one is called the Sunlight Zone. Okay. That one is, we're using rubbing alcohol. Make sure you have a grown-up's help for this part, okay? So we use rubbing alcohol, and we don't color it at all. We just leave it clear, which is the color of the rubbing alcohol, right? So we pour, let's measure. Let me grab a measuring cup. Measure half a cup. Okay. And then we're going to pour that in. This one we're going to pour very carefully in as well. I'm going really slow. It looks a little bit mixed up right now. We'll just let it settle. It's kind of settling. It's kind of settling. Oh boy, you know what happened? Look at that. So when you do experiments, sometimes you do the same experiment and you get a different outcome. So do you notice the sunlit layer at the very top is kind of like light blue, super light blue, and not clear? I think it picked up some of the food coloring from the midnight zone when I poured it in. So next time you make it, maybe you can use an eyedropper or a pipette for the alcohol, and you can just like slowly add it. I poured it in, so I think a little bit of the midnight zone food coloring got mixed in. I don't know. Why do you think it's blue on the very top? It should be clear. Oh, it's a little bit. Oh, it's clear on the very, very, very top. All right. We have our 5 zones, friends. Look at that. We've got the very top is called the sunlight zone, twilight, midnight, abyss, and trench. Oh, cool. Very cool. Let's let that settle. I'm going to let it settle while we talk about the animals that live in the different zones. Oh, cool. So the ocean, the trench zone is so deep and so dark that animals that live there are animals like invertebrates, like starfish, giant tube worms live all the way down in the trenches, in the trench zone. The next zone, the one that's kind of royal blue, the abyss zone, we've got viperfish and anglerfish. Do you know what an anglerfish is? Anglerfish are those fish that have an adaptation that helps them eat, hunt for food. So they've got this kind of lantern that goes above their head, and they use bioluminescence to attract fish to the little light, and then they eat them when the fish comes. Isn't that cool? So those fish have created that adaptation to help them survive at such a deep level in the ocean. Right. That's cool. And the midnight zone, the one that's right here, the midnight zone, that is actually a huge part of the ocean. We've got giant squid down there. Sperm whale will go down and get giant squid. Vampire squid. There's eels, jellyfish, some octopi, deep ocean octopi, and anglerfish also come up to that level. We've got the twilight zone, which is like oh, there, that's better. Oh, on skin. Oh, there it is. If I hold it up like that, it looks better. The twilight zone is the vegetable oil. In the twilight zone, we find hatchetfish, lanternfish, octopi we find there. In the sunlit zone, that's the very top layer that gets all the sunlight. That has it has abundant sea life. That's where most of the living things in the ocean live, right? In the sunlit zone. Very cool. 90% of ocean life live in the sunlit zone. Let's see what lives there. Clownfish, coral reefs, dolphins, sea turtles, jellyfish, tuna, blue whales. There's some jellyfish that live in the midnight zone that can go really deep down, and octopi too. Yeah, very cool. So, oh, we can see it's kind of settling more. It looks good. It still looks light blue at the top. That's okay. All right. Yeah, 90% of all life is in the top sunlight zone. Think about some of your favorite ocean animals. Where do they live? Do they live in the sunlit zone? Do they live in the midnight zone? You can look that up, right? The ocean's such a cool place. Ocean takes up 70% of the Earth's surface. And from space, the ocean looks blue. So we're called the blue planet because the ocean covers so much of the surface of the Earth. So cool. Okay. So the lightest liquid that we used today is the rubbing alcohol. And then the next lightest was the vegetable oil, water, and then dishwashing liquid, and then last is the corn syrup, the really heavy stuff. So, all right. So let me put the lid on. You can keep this at home for a couple days and maybe notice what you observe about it. Does it change? Does it look the same from when we made it the first day? Also, drop in different objects. Do you have like a plastic toy shark? You can drop it in. What happens? Does it settle to the bottom? Where does it stop? Does it stop in the vegetable oil? Does it go down to the dishwashing liquid? You know, does it go down to the abyss or in the midnight zone? What happens if you put a rubber band? Will that go all the way to the bottom? Does it stay where it go? You know, where does it stop? Very cool things that you can do at home with it. Now, I did this experiment 3 days ago, and this is what it looks like. I saved it. Oh, it looks pretty cool. So here, this is the one I did on Wednesday. Our little vegetable oil bubbles haven't settled yet, but they will. But actually, it looks pretty much the same. The alcohol got a little food coloring in that experiment, so. But did you know that when I did this on Wednesday, it was clear for like half of the day, and then it slowly started turning light blue. But today when we did it, it turned light blue right away. But this was clear for a while. Isn't that cool? Pretty cool. I wonder what yours is going to look like. Will it be the same or a little bit different? Have some fun with it. Drop some items, objects in there and see what happens. Very cool. All right. That was really fun. Did you have a great time? I hope so. Ocean Zones in a Jar, super fun experiment. Next month for July, we're going to make marshmallow shooters in a jar. Not a jar. Marshmallow shooters out of cups. So I have listed already on the event the materials that we'll need. If you don't want to use marshmallows, you can use pom-poms, the little fuzzy things. And we're going to use cups and balloons and make some marshmallow shooters. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today for this fun experiment, making our amazing ocean zones in a jar and learning about animals that live in there and liquid density, and that some liquids are heavier than others. Very cool. Science is fun. All right, I'll see you again next time. Thanks for coming. Bye.